In the campus share drive, you're going to find this # last name fish. Go ahead and open it in Illustrator. And the first thing that we want to do is go ahead and save, because remember that it tries to save back to the same place you opened it. So we need to take it to our OneDrive and rename it your period number, your last name, and fish, and keep the file extension as Adobe Illustrator. And I'll click OK here. All right, so if you look at your layers panel, and remember if you are missing any panels, you always find it under the window menu. You have 3 layers at this time. The bottom layer are your guides, and that's what these blue lines are. Guides have been set up just to help us finish the process, okay? The second layer that says example is this gold fish up here, or the orange fish, okay? And it's done, it's been put together. So on layer 2, if we expand it, you're going to see all of those same pieces, but they have not been put together. So we're going to work on putting them together, and we're going to need to reorder some layers, and we're going to need to group things together. But I want you to see how some of these simple tools work in Illustrator. So the first thing I want to do is point out that we have 2 tools here. We have a selection tool, that's our black arrow, and we have a white arrow, which is called our direct selection tool. And whenever we want to move something, we use our selection tool. Whenever you want to reshape something, we use our direct selection tool. So for instance, if I use this direct selection tool and I double clicked on this fin right here, I can, actually not double click, but look, when I hover over it, it shows me the anchor point, and then it shows me the Bezier handles that I can push and pull in order to make changes to the appearance. So go ahead and just alter that that fin, that top fin, a little bit, just so you can see how you can push and pull on those to make it work. Okay, now back to our regular selection tool, the black arrow. We want to go ahead and start moving some stuff around, okay? So we have here the gills, and they're all separate little pieces. And when you click on it, notice in your layers panel, see how it gets the double circle? That shows you it's selected. If you do this, if you use your layers and click on something and it turns blue, that doesn't mean it's selected. It only means it's selected once you have that that double circle there, and then you can see it selected actually on your board, on your artboard. So we have used in Photoshop the marquee method for selecting, which can work up to a certain extent here. Oh, actually I was able to get everything there. But you have to be careful, because if you click on, accidentally move it too much, you can click on something else. Okay, so you only want those little gills right there. Now, let's go ahead and group those together. It's going to be easier for us to keep them together as one piece if we group it. And we can do that with a keyboard shortcut. It's also under the Object menu. It's Control-G for group. Once you group it, look at how it looks in the Layers panel. It actually says group. There's a little triangle here showing that you can expand and see all of those paths in there. Okay. Now, if I move this over top of the body, it's not showing. Oh, no, it is showing. Sorry, I thought it was underneath the body. Okay, so there it is. It's right on top of the body. So what I want to do then is, once I move it over, I want to just use the arrows on my keyboard to kind of fine-tune the position of it to make sure it's where I want it. Okay, then I'm going to get the head of the fish, and I also am going to move this over, and I might, for some of these, want to zoom in a little bit. It may make it easier to see. I am going to use the arrows again to push and pull and get, see how I have this top area here? It looks like it has not, like there's no seam there, like it's a continuous stroke. And it does overlap part of the body a little bit, and that's okay. Bottom part down here does have a little gap, and that's good as well. That's how we want it, okay? All right, so now next thing, I'm going to go back out here. Next thing I want to do is I want to move my tail fin over here, and it is behind, it's underneath, and it's going to go behind the little part of the body here. This piece we're going to move down, but as we move it, notice that it's not fitting on here correctly. Oh, there it goes. It just needed to be moved down a little bit further. I was trying to move it up too high. So it also is going to sit, if we look at this, notice that it is behind the body, which is right here. Nope, right here. There you go. So it's just below that. Okay, and that's good because then we keep the body in full vision and just kind of hide it back there. Then we have a couple of fins that go on the bottom. So I'm going to move this one up, and it too sits there on the bottom. So I'm able to bump it up, and it's going to be behind the body, so I can see where it is there. Then we have one more, and this one is going to be right about here. And when I move this up, notice that this was the top part of the layer. I don't actually want it there. I want it to also be behind the body. So I'm going to drag that down. That's the body. So now it sits behind it. Okay, so that is a better look for me. All right. Next, we have parts of the mouth. So if I move the mouth, the red part of the mouth, it sits pretty well. And it's going to be in front, which it is right now. And it's going to overlap just a little bit. And then I can move the black part, which is obviously the inside of the mouth. And again, use your arrows to kind of fine tune it, but that's the top part of the layer. Then we have the fish eyes. And let me move this down just a little bit. This is the outer part. Then the black should sit in front of it, and it's not. So if you look where the black part is right here. Here is the big part. So we want to move that up just a little bit. And you notice how it turns blue when you get it between layers. Okay, and then here is the little piece that should be above the black. And it too is not sitting in the right spot. So I need to move that above the black. And there it is. Now, I want you to notice that I didn't center all three of these, and that's because that would give it a crazy fisheye look, okay? I am trying to give it more of a unique look, and since that's the eye, I am going to group that together. It is under the Object menu or Control G, and I'm going to move that here onto the fish face, but it also is underneath the fish face, so I need to move this up right there, and now it's sitting up at the top. Now at this point I have two fish that are pretty similar in appearance. The bottom one is a little bit smaller than the top one, but it pretty much looks the same. So if I selected some parts to change, we can make this fish look a little bit different. So I'm going to select this orange part, and I'm going to come up here to the controls right under the menu bar. And right now it's orange, and what I want it to be is this blue right here. It's in the second row. And then I want to select all of my scales or gills and give them the same blue color. Okay, so I was able to do that with the group here by selecting that and by selecting just the face. So now I want to go ahead and select all of those pieces of that fish once you get it the way you want, and group it together so that it cannot be moved separately. I'm going to rename layer 2 to blue fish, and I'm going to go ahead and rename example to orange fish. Okay? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end this part of the video here and come back with part 2 where we're going to put in the background. So this is a good point to Control S to save and come back in the next.